Hello everybody, Merry Christmas. Hope everybody is having a really lovely day if you are watching it on Christmas Day. If you do not celebrate Christmas, then I just hope you're having a lovely day anyway. I have another one of my sort of wrap up videos for the end of the year. I'm going to go through today my Q4 makeup inventory check-in, and we're going to see how my makeup collection looks at the end of this year in comparison to the start of the year. I do have my laptop here in front of me on the table, so I will be glancing down at that to kind of run you through the numbers and the products for all of the different categories as well. And I will also put up photos of the makeup in each of all the categories as well, so you can see exactly the products that I have. I am also testing out the red lipstick theory today, which is where you don't wear any makeup apart from a red lipstick. And that's because I've just had a very hectic morning, I've been doing other things and I haven't really had time to put on a full face of makeup. So I thought now would be a good time to try this red lipstick theory. Now, I always heard that when you wear a red lip, you have to wear, not have to, but it's advised that you should wear base makeup, a little bit of brows, bit of mascara, because a red lip can highlight other bits of redness on your face. It can highlight any like spots or pimples that you might have. I swear I read that in a magazine years ago, but recently there has been this red lipstick theory that if you only wear a red lipstick, it helps to sort of even out the rest of your complexion. Now, I don't really buy it. I don't think it's quite working for me. Maybe it's not the best type of makeup to be wearing for filming, but I thought I would give it a go anyway. But anyway, back to the makeup inventory. Let's get started with the base products. First up is primer. At the start of the year, I had 5 primers. I then still had 5 primers in April. I then went down to just having 1 primer in July. At the previous check-in, I also had 1 primer, and I still have just 1 primer. The products themselves have changed. I did have 3 of the Bobbi Brown face bases. I had the Revolution Super Base, which is a dupe for it, and I also had the Merit Great Skin Instant Glow Serum. These are all really hydrating primers, but the primer that I have at the moment is a really grippy primer. It's the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. Very nice primer, especially because I do get a little bit of oiliness in my T-zone, so that is really nice to help the makeup sort of stick to those places a little bit more. So yeah, started off the year with 5, down to 1. Very, very happy with just having 1 primer. 2 at a push, so I have like a grippy one and a hydrating one. But for now, I'm happy with just having 1. I don't really use primer that often. Foundation next. I started off the year with 7. In April, I went down to 6. July, I had halved that. I was down to 3. I was at 3 at the previous check-in, and I'm finishing off the year with 3 foundations still. I'm currently working on using up the NARS Sheer Glow foundation, which is, as of today, 195 days out of date, so I need to get that one used up. I will then work on my Sculpted by Amy Hydra Tint, and I will also have the Merit Minimalist Stick as well. In 2025, I really only want to have just 1 foundation. It takes a long time to use up a foundation. I always had it in my mind that it takes about 2 to 3 months to use up a foundation from brand new. It really doesn't. It takes a lot longer than that. So just 1 for next year. I will be fine with just having 1. Concealer next, and I have had 1 concealer, the same concealer throughout the whole of this year. It is the Vive Modern Radiance Concealer that I have in the shade Light 3 Warm Beige. It is out of date. It is 94 days out of date because I keep a track of when I open products and when they need to be used up by. I was really hoping to be finished with this concealer by this update, and then I would have no concealers. I do still think I'm going to finish it off by the end of this year though. I've taken the stopper out. I'm really scraping the product. There is not much in there at all, but there's still enough each time that I go to use it. But I do hope by the end of this year I can finish it off. If not, it won't take much longer into 2025 to finish it off. And when I have finished it off, I won't be buying another concealer. I'll just use the Merit Skin Tint, not the Merit Skin Tint, the Merit Minimalist, the stick, because that is a foundation and concealer, like a 2-in-1 product. Powder next. I had 3 at the start of the year, 3 in the April check-in, 3 in the July check-in, 2 at the previous check-in, and I now just have 1 powder. It is the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Light, and I use this to set my under eyes, set my T-zone, just to set my foundation, set my concealer. Also happy to have 1 powder as well moving forwards. And then setting sprays, I had 1 in January, April, July and October, and I now have 2. I am very close to using up my Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray, and because I'm very close to finishing that off, I have bought a replacement. I've bought the Revolution Superfix Misting Spray, which is meant to be a really good drugstore option for a setting spray, and it came in at £6.38, so a really affordable option in comparison to the Urban Decay. I've not yet used it, don't have any comments on it at the moment, but I hope that it is good. Okay, cheek products next. Starting off with bronzer. At the start of the year I had 3, the next check-in I had 2, 2 at the next check-in, 2 at the next check-in, and I'm now down to just 1, and it is my Merit Bronze Balm in the shade Quince. I don't have much of it left, I've probably only got about like that much of it, and I use it every time I wear makeup. Lovely product, really lightweight, sheer, can build it up, really nice shade as well. That's the only bronzer that I currently have. Blushes, I started off the year on 5, and then for the rest of the year I have 3 blushes. So I have 2 Vive ones, both of which are powders, one in the shade Piazza, which is like a sunburnt bronzy red kind of colour, but actually on my cheeks it's quite a bright red, so it does work for my new True Spring colour analysis result. And I also have Pesca, which is an orange shade, a nice peach shade, year-round peach warm shade. And then I also have the Merit Flush Balm in Terracotta, which I do intend on completely using up next year. Highlighters, started off the year with 2, went down to 1 at the check-in after that, 1 check-in after that, 1 check-in after that, and I'm now down to 0. I currently have no highlighters within my collection. However, there is a shade in my Hourglass face palette that I have started to use as a highlighter. It's one of the dim light shades, I think, so I have started using that one as a highlighter, but I count that as a face palette product rather than the pan itself as a highlighter. Contour, started off the year with 1, had 1 at the next check-in, 1 at the next check-in, 0 at the previous check-in, and I do still currently have 0. I don't have any plans to buy any contour products. I bought one this year or end of last year because I just wanted to try having a contour product again, but I don't feel like I really need one in my collection. It's a little bit of an unnecessary product, in my opinion, for my makeup routine. And then face palettes, I have had 2 for the entire year. They've been the same products. Firstly, the Hourglass Leopard palette. That is the palette I do still currently have, but I have used up the other face palette, which is the Vive Dimensions face palette, which was a beautiful palette. It was limited edition, so unfortunately it's not a permanent piece of makeup that they offer. Gorgeous colours, a bronzer, a highlighter, 2 blushes, and I used up all 4 pans. Absolute pleasure to use, loved the quality of that product, and I do wish that they would make that permanent. So I do currently just have 1, which is, like I say, the Hourglass Leopard palette. Okay, let's do eye makeup now. So firstly is eyeshadow primer. In terms of numbers, that has stayed the same throughout the entire year. I've only ever owned 1. The product itself has changed though. I did have a MAC paint pot in Painterly, but that was quite old, it was quite dry, and I don't feel like it really worked too well as an eyeshadow primer, so I decluttered that. And then I bought the NYX eyeshadow base, which I have used before in the past. I completely panned it. It's a lovely product, excellent quality, really affordable, and it lasts for absolutely ages. So I just have 1 of those. Eyeshadow singles has changed this year. This year has really been about minimising my makeup collection, but in particular the eye makeup categories. I don't really like to wear a lot of eye makeup anymore. I feel like it just doesn't suit me to have too much going on my eyes. My preferences have always been with lip products. So eyeshadow singles, I started off the year on 6 and I still had 6 at the next check-in. I then went down to 5. Previous check-in I had 2 and I still have 2. I have the mini Giorgio Armani eye tint, which I also want to pan next year because it's close to being out of date and I really like it, so I want to use it up before it goes off. And then I also have a MAC single eyeshadow that is goodness knows how many years out of date, and it's in the shade All That Glitters, which is very similar to the Giorgio Armani eye tint, so I wear those 2 together. Eyeshadow duos, I've had 1 throughout the entire year. It's been the NARS Isolde duo, but I have recently decluttered that. Lovely colours, beautiful quality, very buttery, so beautiful, but I rarely wore it, so I decluttered it and I'm now down to 0. Eyeliner pencils have changed quite a bit. I started off the year with 5 and I had 5 at the next check-in. I then went down to 3, then went down to 2, and I now just have 1. It's by Victoria Beckham and it is in the shade Cinnamon, which is a very warm, slightly dark brown shade. I don't wear it too much as like an actual line on my eyelid. I either tight line with it, put it in my waterline, or I do put it on my upper lash line, but then blend it out. So it's quite a nice, soft definition. It's nothing too harsh. That I also want to use up by the end of next year as well. I am very hit and miss when it comes to using eyeliners, and I don't want that to kind of go untouched for quite some time. So that's why I want to focus on it next year. Mascara, quite up and down with mascara this year. Started off the year with 3. I then went down to 2, then went down to 1, went up to 2 at the previous check-in, and I'm now down to 1. For me, it just depends whether I have any sort of backups ready for when I use up my current mascara, because I only ever have one mascara open at a time. I use that mascara for say 3, 6 months, however long the packaging says that I can keep it open for. I'll then throw it away on that date and then open a new one. So when I had 3 and when I had 2, it meant that I had 1 that was open and I was using it, and then I had either 1 or 2 as backups. So currently I just have 1 that is open. I have no backups at the moment. I don't need a backup at the moment. The one that I'm using is the Maybelline Lash Sensational Sky High Mascara in a brown shade. It's a nice colour, slightly too dark of a brown though, but at the moment where it's not been opened for too long, it is still quite wet. I need it to dry down a little bit and then it will be a lot more manageable. And then eyebrow products. I have had 1 throughout the entire year, and it has been the Merit 1980 brow product in the shade Blonde, which I really enjoyed. I've recently used that up, and I have bought an ABH brow kit that I spoke about in my Q4 makeup purchasing video. And that kit contained a mini ABH brow freeze and then a full-sized brow wiz in the shade medium brown, and I'm really enjoying wearing both of those. I think they are brilliant products. And to finish, let's go through the lip category. Firstly is lip balm. I started off the year with 4 lip balms. At the next check-in, I still had 4. They were the set of 4 Rhode lip tints in the shades Espresso, Toast, Ribbon and Raspberry Jelly. I used up 2, decluttered 2. So at the next check-in, I then went down to having 0. I had 0 at the previous check-in because I didn't feel like I really needed a lip balm. However, I have recently bought 2 of the Violette FR Bisou balms, one in the shade Guimauve and the other in Batiste. Lip liners, started off the year with 5, went down to 4, went down to 2, 2 at the previous check-in, and I do still have 2. The lip liners that I currently have are MAC Chicory, which is the one that I have here. I have it on with my Merit lipstick. And because this was the only lip liner that I have had recently, I did break my no-buy to buy a nude lip liner. So I bought the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in the shade Iconic Nude. Lipsticks, this has changed quite a bit. I started off the year with 17 lipsticks. I then went down to 12. At the next check-in, I went down to 9. I broke my no-buy because I bought a Revlon lipstick for my new True Spring colour analysis result. So I went up to 10 at the previous check-in. And I'm now down to 8. It should have been 9. However, I was putting on my lipstick just now before filming this. It's Merit Carbo. And as I was putting it on, it felt really wobbly. So I twisted it open fully, had a little look at it, and it had come out. So I did put it back in and was carefully using it again, and then when I went to put the lid on, it fell out. I was standing by the bathroom over the sink with the mirror putting my lipstick on, and this fell into the sink nearly down the plug hole. So unfortunately that has been binned, and that's how much I have left. So I am saying that this lipstick is done. I don't now scrape out the lipstick that's left in here and use it because I just find that really, really messy. So I'm now down to 8 lipsticks, and now that I don't have Carbo, I don't have a red lipstick in my collection. If you have any suggestions for warm red, orange based lipsticks, please let me know what you would recommend. I did like Carbo, but I would like to try something different. I really love as well Persuasive by Estee Lauder. That is a beautiful lipstick. And I did recently watch Carol, the film with Cate Blanchett, and I looked at the makeup that they used in that film, and there was an orange based Chanel lipstick. Can't remember what it's called. but if you have any suggestions, let me know, because I do like to have one red lipstick in my collection. So anyway, I am now down to just 8 lipsticks. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that I would like to use up next year. 3 of them as cream blushes and 1 just as a lipstick, but there's not very much left of it, and I just think that I could finish that off next year. Next, lip glosses. I had 8 at the start of the year, went down to 6 at the next check-in, then down to 3, then down to 2, and I'm still at 2, and they are both Maybelline Lifter glosses, one in the shade Peach Ring and one in the shade Sweetheart. So if we look at overall numbers for the year then, so I started off the year having 92 pieces of makeup within my collection, and my goal this year was to really minimise my makeup collection, in particular the eye products, get through a few foundations as well, and just really streamline it a little bit more. And I feel like I've really done that. At the next check-in, I went down to 73 pieces of makeup, so a difference of 19. At the next check-in, I was below 50, I was at 49, so a difference of 24. The next check-in, so my previous quarterly makeup inventory check-in video, I was down to 40 pieces of makeup, and I'm now down to 35, which feels so much better. Yes, there are still changes that I want to make. I want to get down to just having, say, 1 foundation. There's 3 lipsticks in particular, the ones that I'm going to use as cream blushes, that I want to use up. I do also want to as well use up one of my blushes, so I do still want to minimise it a little bit further, but 35 pieces of makeup in my entire makeup collection just feels so much better than 92. I'm not quite at a third of the size that I started off the year with, but I'm not far off at all. In terms of numbers, I don't have a set number that I would like to get below. It just depends what I have in each of the individual categories, whether it feels like I have too many foundations, whether it feels like I have too many, I don't know, lip liners, lip glosses, or whatever. But things like the lip products are always going to be the categories where I have more than any other categories, because I just like to have lots of different options to choose from. So those are the numbers. In terms of what that means with regards to using up items, decluttering, buying anything new, I've kept track of that throughout the whole year as well. So in quarter 1, I used up 14 items, which is pretty good. Quite surprised at that actually. In quarter 2, I used up 12. Quarter 3, I used up 9. Quarter 4, I used up 7, so that's a total of 42 pieces of makeup that I have finished this year, which I'm really pleased about. Decluttering. Quarter 1, I decluttered 5 pieces, 7 in quarter 2, 12 in quarter 3, and then 6 in quarter 4. So this year I have decluttered 30 pieces of makeup. I try to use up my makeup entirely. I don't really like to declutter too much because it does just feel a little bit wasteful. The vast majority of the items that I do declutter though, I do pass on to my boyfriend's sister, so somebody will get some use out of it. Can't always do that for everything though, it really just depends on the product itself. Next, I tracked how many pieces of makeup I sold. I only sold 1 though, and that was back in quarter 1. I sold a Merit lipstick in the shade Tiger, because at the end of last year I bought the Merit full set of makeup and I ordered the Tiger lipstick, but when it arrived it was a little bit kind of bashed, so I sent them a picture and a video about it. They sent me a replacement straight away, so I kept the bashed one because it was fine for me to use, but the brand new one I did end up selling. That wasn't my intention, but it did turn out that the bashed one was still fine to use at the end of the day, so I technically didn't really need to email them, but pretty good customer service. I also tracked the items that I bought. So in quarter 1, I bought 1 new piece of makeup. In quarter 2, I didn't buy anything. Quarter 3, I bought 7 pieces. Quarter 4, I bought 9. And then for the total year, I bought 17 new pieces of makeup, most of which were things that I needed to buy, in the sense that I didn't have any backups for. I have broken my replacement only no by a few times, so some of these 17 pieces are things that I didn't technically need to buy, but I wanted to buy, and I think more often than not, they were lip products, because that's my weakness. And then just now I have just added in a row for pieces of makeup that have been broken. And it's just the one, my Merit Carbo lipstick, which I'm quite sad about actually. So next year I will still be tracking my inventory again. I do like things like this. I like to keep an eye on everything that I have, when I've opened it, when it needs to be used up, things like that. So I will continue to track my makeup inventory for next year. I'm still not going to include on my inventory though specific numbers that I want to have within each category. I've done that previously, but I think that this is the first year that I haven't done it, and I like that. I don't like to be beholden to a set number of items per category. For things like concealers, foundations, setting sprays, I will realistically only ever just need one, so I don't feel like I need to put that as a limit. That's just a limit that I'm going to naturally want to impose anyway. But things like lip liners, lipsticks, I don't want to put limits on those. I want to have that little bit of freedom to just have as many as I am comfortable with. So I won't be keeping strict figures on categories within my makeup collection or my makeup collection overall. And I think I've now also just gotten to the point where I'm just going to naturally have a smaller makeup collection, apart from the lip products of course. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you did find it interesting. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. If you also keep track of your makeup empties, keep track of your inventory, your purchases, and you want to share that, let me know down below how it's going. I will also as well have a video coming up where I go through all of the makeup items that I have finished off this year, my thoughts on them as well, and I do also have a few other roundup videos coming up. But thank you once again for watching. Have a lovely rest of your day, whatever it is you are doing, and I'll see you again very soon for our next one. Bye.